let's build a video game. I'd like this to be a cozy little game dev space where we can chat and code, hang out. To introduce myself, I'm Gina. I'm a junior software engineer for BBC News. And in the last few months, I've found real joy in building small free games in my spare time. I find that they give me a spark of creativity and sole ownership that can be hard to find in the corporate world. I love building things not to build some impressive portfolio, but just because they represent me. It's more motivating, and I think it probably makes a better portfolio anyway. I started by building this retro website on GinaCities that I'm obsessed with. Then I decided to build a virtual pet that you can embed onto your website that I built in Godot, and it's proven quite popular. I found it on like 30 different websites. Then also in Godot, I built a very simple Christmas game in a month. It's just a little coin clicking game where you unlock stalls and you decorate this Christmas market. There are NPCs walking around, there are cats and dogs. It was really fun. I think it's quite cute. But I built both of these using asset packs from Itch, which is where somebody else makes the artwork and then packages it up and you can buy it. It contains all of the animations that you need. It's really fantastic, and I really recommend it if you're just starting out and you just want to get down to the programming. It can be a little bit limiting though. So now for my next game, I'd like to do everything myself. Hand-drawn artwork, which is kind of terrifying because I'm really not an artist, but all I have is a 4-year-old iPad mini and an old Apple Pencil. So let's get started. Two things that I'm weirdly inspired by. The first thing is the big reference book in Strange Horticulture and the way that you constantly need to refer back to it for information. Something about that I just really love, and it makes me feel safe and warm for some reason. And then the second thing is a game called My Chan's Sweet Buns, which is a free puzzle game on Itch that I will link to. This game is offensively addictive, and it's just got a really nice gameplay loop to it. Drawing inspiration from those things, I'm looking at a kind of free puzzle game that is potion plant themed. My idea is that there's a board of tiles and you have to make a certain shape to clear the tiles, like a sigil. Maybe there's orders coming in, or maybe you want to clear all the tiles. In order to learn the shapes, you have to go to a big spell book where they are referenced in some way. This tea really illustrates my drawing ability, so that's good. I'm going to draw some low pressure placeholder artwork just to get the hang of it. I'm using Procreate, which I find quite easy to use. I'm glad that nobody can accuse me of using AI when my art looks this bad. I think I have potential, I just need practice. I've been documenting this whole process with short form content, and I think that's how most people will discover the game, so I do want it to work on mobile. I set it up in Godot as mobile, not massively knowing what that means. Okay, I've got my tiles randomized on the board. I set up a resource file for each ingredient with all the information I need as a single source of truth, and then fill that out in the Godot editor. For the tile patterns, I'm using vector coordinates, and I've added some code so that it should work in any direction. This is now working. You make the pattern, the tiles disappear, and it prints to the console. It's not massively fun though, so I add some recipe cards along the bottom, like these are orders coming in that you need to fulfill. Okay, so to teach the player, I now attempt the spellbook. I know this is a major feature, so I really try with the artwork on this. I draw it normally, then I warp the front of the book and save this each time as a new layer to make the frames of it opening. Same thing with the inside of the book. I draw it, then I warp the page over and save a new frame each time. Once I get to the middle, I start on the other side, do the same thing, and then just reverse it to piece them together, if that makes any sense. I import each layer into Godot as a frame, and it's looking pretty good. It's looking mildly professional. If anything, it's over-engineered, but this was an important part of the game to me, so I am pleased with it. In order to make the page turn, I add a button the size of each full page, then set it to be clear and just make it play the animation on click. When the left page is clicked, I just play it in reverse. Then I add the page contents and get it to change on click, which looks like trash. So then I add a simple fade animation when you turn the page, which hopefully I will polish up later because it doesn't look great, but it's okay for now. Now, when I said I wanted to do everything, recording the sound effects myself is almost certainly over-engineering, but I had a lot of fun with this. The TikTok video actually flopped, but I enjoyed the process anyway. I realise we need a mechanic if you get stuck, so I add this ugly progress bar, then draw a better one, which when filled will give you 1 coin, which you can spend in a poison shop. You use poison to dissolve tiles if you need to. Like the recipes, I set this up with a resource file and set up a really simple UI for a shop in Godot. 1 coin lets you dissolve 1 tile, which I think is what you need for most scenarios, but then you can also use 2 coins if you want to dissolve a whole row, and 3 coins if you want to dissolve half the board, if you're really stuck. Time for a check-in. I decided to think a bit more about the level design and the game design, and I do need to add some complexity and give the feeling of progress. I sat down and I had to think about all of the potions that I want in the game, and this has been really fun. I want potions, but I don't want to lose the teas. I really like teas, and I think they are potions. I think they are healing. Peppermint tea means a lot to me. I want to keep it in the game. Echinacea tea is an absolute classic, like in terms of immunity and healing. I would typically have green tea, but I think with peppermint that's too much green because I am thinking about the colour scheme on the board and I want there to be visual variety. Currently I have mushroom soup and seasoning, which doesn't make any sense. This isn't a cooking game, so they're out. And instead, I'm just gonna have a load of potions. So potion of healing, absolute classic, everyday potion. I could do minor healing and major healing, like Skyrim style, but again, because I need board variety for the icons, probably just have 1 potion of healing and it will probably be a heart, which means then I can't really have potion of love because I'm using the heart on the healing, but that's probably a good idea anyway. Potion of love's a bit weird. Why are you making someone love you? That's probably weird. I've got potion of well-being, potion of luck, potion of invisibility, potion of transformation, potion of clairvoyance. I think that might be too many characters. I'm currently writing out the words because I like the style of it, but that's probably too long. So maybe potion of sight, potion of growth. I like the idea of these like vines coming around. Potion of storms, and I like the idea of the sigil being like a lightning bolt. Potion of sleep, and the sigil is a Z. That's cool. But also just very difficult to orchestrate on the board. Like what are the chances of that happening? I've got a lot of ideas. So I know I need to introduce levels. Currently you just keep playing forever, but I need to put a limit on the number of cards at the bottom, like maybe 10 to 15. Then you progress to the next level. With that, you're rewarded with maybe 1 or 2 potions. I'm also thinking of locking the poisons behind levels as well. Currently, you have all 3 poisons right from the start. In the beginning, I think you only need the 1 tile one, so I need to do artwork. I need to do a lot of artwork for all of these. And every time I find myself needing to do artwork, I just keep putting it off and finding some more programming to do. So that's a bit of a hurdle that I need to overcome. Also, the spellbook. The spellbook animation needs work. I posted about it the other day on my short form content and I had some comments saying it just didn't look good enough. I do feel like I'm being held to a very high standard given that it's a free game, but I guess I'm grateful for it. At the moment, I have a kind of fade animation as you turn the page, which I thought looked okay, but I guess I'm going to need to warp the content of the page as you're turning it. And I don't know how to do that. Do you know how to do that? I don't know how to do that. I also announced the other day on TikTok that I have set myself a deadline of the end of February. I might be crazy for doing this all done, but I'm finishing my puzzle game this month. I think hard deadlines can be really motivating. Which is tough, but I think it's a good idea as a kick just to get things done. I just want it to be good. Okay, bye. finally buckle up and do the majority of the artwork. New tiles, new poisons, and remaining potions. Once I get into it, it's not that bad. It's a mildly deliberate, hand-drawn art style. I'm particularly proud of the new poisons and the new potion of healing and potion of sleep. For my second Mount Everest, I tackled the spellbook animation. I create a dummy rectangle in Godot, which I fit onto the spellbook page and then print the coordinates of each corner. I add these to an array and I do this for each frame. I use this to deform the page contents to match the turn animation. I also spend time getting the next page stacked up so that we can view it in the right moment on the other side of the page. So after some hard work, let's take a look at where we're at. It's looking pretty good. I'm quite pleased. I think it's looking like an actual game. Some highlights of some little bits I've added. The new redesigned poison shop icon updates every time you unlock a new poison. I've introduced one new exciting poison which can dissolve an entire recipe card. This will cost you a mildly extortionate 4 coins. There's also now a settings menu where you can toggle on readable mode, which changes all the text in the game to be a simple font instead of curly writing. For anyone who doesn't want my curly writing. No offense taken, that's in the settings. Also testing it on mobile and it totally works. One thing I've added is also drag as well as tap. Of course, I've also added if there's no available moves on the board and you don't have any coins to spend, then you get a game over. That's it. Some people have been saying that they don't like spending the coins. Hoarding things for a later date in games is very common, and I don't think I can look to tackle that mountain. So if you have coins and you have no available moves, you are going to have to use them. I've sent it out to some friends to playtest and the feedback's really good. People seem to enjoy playing it, which is so nice. The one thing though is that everyone seems to be making it all the way to the end on their first run with like 5 coins to spare. So that tells me it's too easy. I don't want a 100% success rate. I want it to maybe take a couple runs to get to the end. This comes down to a few numbers in the code that affect the spawn rate of the difficult recipes, the amount of progress I give per match, and some general weighting on the board in terms of what tiles I'm showing. So I am going to tweak that to make it harder. I do then worry that it's not a chill game. Some people, when they're playing games, they're looking to feel chill. Some people, when they're playing games, they're looking to be challenged. So I am now realizing as time is ticking on that I'm gonna probably need to add in difficulty levels just to allow for both of those play styles. But we are like very nearly there. At this point, I am gonna make the deadline. I think the game is looking good and I think it might be quite fun, which is a big relief. That's a really big relief. Okay, so I've added the levels as a starting scene, avoiding the word normal because that's annoying. Then I tweaked the numbers a lot for each level and I think it's good. I added a short ending animation and message for each difficulty, which I won't show you so you have to play the game. Here's some rain instead. I spent a lot of time setting up the itch page and making that look presentable. Then I had such anxiety over this, but eventually, on launch day, I hit publish. I did it! Game is out. I announced it first on my smaller social channels just to kind of soft launch it, and the feedback's been good.
Ooh, this is a fun game. You really have to, it's like strategic. It's like if Candy Crush was like a smart game.
Couple of small bugs, but I think everything's okay. I'm so pleased. Some people wanted more of a tutorial. I've learned that tutorials are a bit of a hornet's nest in the game dev world. I made a video about that and kind of woke everyone up. I suppose my language was a little bit inflammatory. Games have a lot of tutorial messaging, which begs the question, are we stupid now? But I do stand by it. I definitely prefer less in terms of tutorials. Well, not less, but I like the kind of old school way that if you wanted to learn something, you maybe had to dig out the manual that came in the box. Maybe you had to go looking in the settings to figure out what the controls were. So if you want to know how to play the game, I've absolutely laid it out for you. You just have to go looking for it. I don't make you experience these unskippable tutorial messages. I had that a little bit in my Christmas game, and I found that people just button mashed to get through them, and they just wanted to get straight to the end. I would love for you to play it. The link is in the description. Please let me know what you think. Also, let me know if you've enjoyed this video, this devlogumentary. I just made that up. I've really enjoyed making this, and I think it's just a nice record for me to see everything I've been through. And let me know if you think I should expand on the game. I could easily add more levels. I'm thinking of adding some online play. I'm thinking of adding a leaderboard just to give me some game dev back-end experience. I feel really proud of myself to have this tiny little portfolio of things that I've made, and I know that in the game dev space I see so many games that are coming out at the moment that just look incredible, some of which that are made in Godot, and I don't know, you have to start somewhere. If you've enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye.